Sir, I'm visible?
Yeah, I can see you.
Yes, sir.
Patel family, I get that. Are we live now? Am I audible to all of you online students? Ashwini, Karan Sati, Pratima, Sharma, hi Bashir. Good evening. Can you tell me if I am audible and if I am streaming fine? Yes, it's 8 p.m. now. Time for our geography paper optional discussion, paper 2. Hello, Satyam Dangi. Hi. Pratima, audible and visible. Akanksha Pandey. Okay, that's lovely. Ashwini Soni. It's lagging. Could be some broadband or connectivity problems. Prabhat, Hegde, Chandramouli Shah, good evening. Cloudburst, Saddam Hussain, Akshay Kumar, Karthik Ganesh. Hi, all of you. Thank you so much, Apoor sir, joining back again.
Hello,
Yesterday
sir.
we
Hello,
had,
all of you.
yeah, so quite a few who were yesterday have also joined in today.
So
This
that is
should be a good discussion. Yes. Hello, Shashi. Streaming is at its best. Excellent, Ayush. So as long as the streaming is at its best, I and Edukemy will take the credit. And whenever it's not good, we will put it on telecom ministry and broadband and the service provider. So hi Vishal, hello. Okay, so let's get started now, sir. Before we get into our conversation, we'll ask again the same question to the students if they have seen the question paper and what do they think about the paper. One common fear students have is about the maps. So tell me, guys, what did you feel about the map entries? 10 entries given. Hello, good evening. We have one Cosmos. Okay. Yes, all of you, typical commercial request to all of you. Please like, subscribe, and share our video. Tell your friends about us and our discussions. So please do join the YouTube channel of Edukemy.
And
Hi,
as
Ashish,
everybody else does, please do it. Sir, ऐसा सब लोग करते हैं.
और बहुत फास्ट भी बोलते हैं.
Right.
I'm yet to practice that.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir.
So all of you, please do the needful. Before that, of course, before we begin, tell us about what you think about the paper, all of you. What do you think? Was it manageable? Not linkage type of questions, Ashish say. Was able to mark 6 locations. I think that's very good, Nikhil.
Yes, 6 is good. Yes.
Those days of 10 out of 10 are gone.
Yes, sir.
You should not expect 10 entries. Okay, and if you're marking 6, 7, okay, on the higher side 8, I think that's a very good strike rate. The question is, Nikhil, the 6 you have marked, how accurate have you been? That matters more. Yes, I agree. Soumya, Cosmos, this time the map entries were very doable map entries and the traditional ones. We had Nathula, Hatti, Mines, we had Namrafa National Park, Ennore Port, Ramagundam, Betwa River. But इससे आसान हो नहीं सकता.
Right.
And जो current affair भी पूछा है, Ross Island, I think it was in news because it has been renamed as Netaji Subhash Bose Island. Silla Tunnel काफी news में रहता है because of Tawang connectivity in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, so I think the map entries was pretty good. It was to the benefit of the students here. And what about your assessment of the questions, all of you? Ashish says mostly L3 questions. Well, I'll give you my analysis. Interlinking type, mapping mostly linked to news. Well, Ashwini, out of 10 questions, just 4 entries were news-based, which was More was news-based, Ross Island was news-based, Silla Tunnel was
Was
news-based,
news.
and
Yes.
Ramappa, because it is a UNESCO heritage site, it was in
Yes.
news last year. Okay, so 9 can be done. Mohan Priya, that's marvelous. If 9, so you have rocked it. I myself could manage 7 to 8 of them with one with a bit more of doubt. I did not know Ramappa, to be very honest. More, I was not very sure about. But yes, so if 9, I think, will be the highest that we have got as a review till now.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. So that's my assessment of the map. So Nikhil says not able to induce geographical models. एक तो ये बताओ Nikhil, why are you under compulsion to introduce geographical models every time? अपूर सर, ये एक बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है.
जी सर है,
Last
बिल्कुल है.
almost 6-7 साल से the
Yes, sir.
questions are more current affair based questions.
They are. They are,
Question
sir.
पढ़
Yes.
के लगेगा नहीं कि it is a geography optional question. The
Yes.
students
Yes.
always struggle how to bring the geographical perspective.
Yes.
Okay, so I do not know what they do. So could you tell us how can somebody bring geographical perspective in the answers? Okay, Swami
Sir,
also says that questions were journalistic. Yes,
sir, in paper 2, the questions are generally always journalistic, and it is
yes,
it is apparent that the questions look more like GS questions.
yes.
But there are always, you can say, sir, options, or you can say a scope that we can introduce the geographical perspective. Like, sir, this time they asked the question about the geostrategic importance of the islands, that is the Andaman, Nicobar, and Lakshadweep.
Correct.
So, sir,
That's
this
one
is
way.
that is a very generalized question if we take IR into perspective with respect to GS. But when we are
So
talking
one,
about geography, sir, we could have introduced the concept of choke points in this question, and we could have, made a small map as to how Andaman and Nicobar is very close to Strait of Malacca, and Lakshadweep is very close to Strait of Hormuz. And in this way, we could have applied a bit of a geographical perspective in that question.
my take on this is, I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
this is an interesting trend. I think
Yes.
हम हाँ जबरदस्ती geography perspective लेके परेशान रहते हैं.
ये भी बात
We
सही
are
है सर, ये भी
unnecessarily
बात सही.
concerned.
Yes,
See,
yes,
the
yes.
nature of geography is that geography is about man-environment relations.
Absolutely.
Geography has agriculture, geography has industries, geography has environment topics,
Yes,
geography deals with inequalities, geography deals with problems of disasters, geography talks about development challenges. Okay,
absolutely, sir.
so the moment these topics are asked, it itself becomes geography centric. And at the most, I think when you're struggling, two things you can do to bring geographical perspective. One is draw maps.
Yes, absolutely, sir.
As many
Absolutely.
regional maps you can draw. So
बिल्कुल
अगर
सर,
millets
बिल्कुल.
का question है, tell us the areas where millets are grown and what type of
Exactly.
millets. If the
Absolutely.
question is about solid waste management, then do talk about important cities, locate them on the map, and tell
Yes.
us where we have major solid waste problems. If
Yes,
the
yes, yes.
question is about forest problems, draw a map about what are the areas that are losing forests very rapidly, or
Yes,
what
yes,
are
sir.
the
Yes.
different types of forests which are ecologically threatened. Western Ghats
Yes,
threatened
yes.
hai, Eastern Ghats mein,
Certain. Yes, sir.
your Eastern Himalayas are the hotspot areas.
Yes,
If the
yes.
question is about floods, so वो तो that question हो गया, floods and droughts. The
Yes,
question
yes.
is about the low median age and high fertility. Maybe draw the pyramid, demographic pyramid,
Yes,
and
sir.
show the
Yes, sir.
demographic transition model.
Yes, yes, yes.
So don't force a geography term, because the paper by nature, geography by nature is all these contemporary issues. The moment
Yes.
geography has become applied, geography is about development, geography is about environment, geography is about solving problems. Okay, so you don't have to force anything beyond this, beyond a point. So एक तो
So,
है
sir,
आप map बनाओ. Second is, yes, Apoor sir.
so, sir, like they say that geography is the mother of all social sciences. So the mother has to be
Yes,
connected with all of its children. So we cannot
correct.
segregate geography from the other subjects.
बट यस, आप मैप बनाकर दिखा सकते हो कि आपको लोकेशन पता है.
Exactly, sir.
The
Exactly.
second is use examples. जगह का
Hmm.
नाम बताओ, state का नाम बताओ.
Right, right, right.
Talk about the district where you know the district.
Hmm.
Talk about city's name where you know the city's name.
Exactly. Right,
So
sir. Right.
examples and map की तरह से you can add geography. Okay,
Absolutely.
otherwise agriculture है तो agro-climatic regions हैं. अगर
Hmm.
livestock है, agriculture diversification है. If the question includes talk about urban areas, morphological dimension डाल सकते हो, urban
Right,
fringe
right,
and so on.
right,
Okay,
right, right.
so there is lot of scope. Okay, without forcing too much. Most of us have a problem that we think only geographical thought is geography.
Right,
हम
right, right, sir.
जबरदस्ती struggle कर रहे होते हैं. Add possibilism, add determinism,
Right, right,
okay,
right,
add a regional perspective every time in terms of answer. वो जरूरी नहीं है.
right,
So
sir.
I
Right,
hope
right.
this is an important input for all of you. Yes, case studies, absolutely. Yes, Somia, we had talked about lot of case studies, maps. I remember teaching Bangalore and Bangalore ka map and urban problems. We've talked about Delhi's map and the
Right,
urban
right,
issues. Because a lot of map work we have done. Yes, cultural regions. हमने पढ़ाया. You should know the cultural regions of India.
Yes, yes,
Language-based cultural regions हैं.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So yes, Soumya, all of this. In fact, I'm happy that out of 28 questions, directly हमारे coverage से we have almost 20 to 23 answers,
That is beautiful, sir. That
and
is beautiful.
some of it आप apply करके usually you can always twist the answer to your benefit.
Right,
Yes,
sir. Right.
Soumya, I had discussed Belandur Lake. I remember. In fact, I had done a detailed study of the ports also. Okay, jo Kandla port. We have discussed a bit of the Kutch region also. Okay, yes, so that's one input. So I'm sharing my screen quickly regarding what has been our approach. So here we go. Can you all see my screen clearly, all of you?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Soumya. Yes. Thank you for acknowledging that, Soumya. So here we go. Paper discussion. This is my analysis. Oh, we have got one spelling mistake, current. Okay. It's a very, very applied paper and a very,
It is.
very current affairs based paper. In fact, one of the
Yes, yes,
highest in terms of recent years.
yes,
Every
yes,
topic had some current affair dimension, bearing 2-3 of them, like
yes, yes, sir.
Gondwana rocks pooch liya. Okay,
Yeah.
they've asked something in cultural regions of India. Otherwise, all current affairs applied. Again, lot of scope of creativity because you have the scope of drawing diagrams, maps, examples, and interpretation. I'll tell you how we have done that. L1 questions 10 to 12, L2 questions 10 to 12, L3 questions 6 to 8. So I see a drop here. L3
Yes,
questions last 2 years में we're touching 70-75%. This time paper 1 में भी कम हुआ है, paper 2 में भी कम हुआ है, 60%.
right, sir.
But yes, L2 numbers have been a bit more than L3 questions.
Yes, yes.
25 out of 28 questions are current affair based questions, and there are 12 traditional questions. People didn't realize this. सबको लगा current affairs ही सिर्फ है, ऐसा नहीं है. Okay, traditional questions हैं. Like I said, Gondwana question is traditional question. We have a question related to the demographic dividend. That is a traditional
Yes,
question.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Millets वाला मैं कहूँगा traditional question है. Importance of millets, dryland farming, and resilience. That's a question. Then we have this question on urban problems. वो भी traditional है. It's a different thing that you can apply an example through that. Okay, but you can also discuss that as a traditional question. The cultural regions of India, I think, is traditional question. So quite a few. The geopolitical impact of locations, I feel, is again expected. Yes,
It is, sir.
generally Eastern Ghats, Western Ghats, absolutely, Soumya. So 12 question traditional hai, don't ignore that. And mapping, 4 questions were current affair based and 7 were doable. Okay, 7 to 8 were fairly doable. Okay. So I think that's my analysis of the paper. Any inputs from your side, Apoorv sir, please?
Yes, sir. I also think, sir, like the jute question was very much a traditional question. We always keep on talking about jute. And even the questions that are related to like the bilateral relations between India and Sri Lanka, we always talk about this in relation to the India and its neighbors. So, sir, all these questions are quite traditional. Only there are certain questions that are related with the satellite program and the NGT, etc. They are basically the current affairs based questions that have come up. But sir, yes, it looks like that there are many questions that are current affairs, but most of the questions which are seemingly current affairs are traditional questions. जो हम पढ़ाते ही हैं क्लास में जो बेसिकली बच्चे को पता ही होना चाहिए.
और एक और चीज आई थिंक स्टूडेंट्स यू मस्ट अप्रिशिएट that you are in a competition mode. Okay, so it's not that you are supposed to know everything.
Yes, absolutely, sir.
Students जहां पर पूरा छोड़ के आ जाते हैं, you need to apply yourself a bit more. You need to think a bit more on some questions. Okay, so even if it is not a brilliant answer, exam conditions में, okay, but I think, okay, but yes, on the whole, I will say this paper was not an easy paper. पेपर 1 को मैं easy moderate बोलूंगा, but this paper was slightly more than a moderate paper in terms of difficulty level. It is not a paper for average coverage of the content. And current affairs has to brilliant. In fact, now I was telling the students, a very important learning of this year is you cannot study geography optional by ignoring the GS topics of environment and the GS topics of trade, transport, and also international relations. तो आपको ये करना होगा consolidated. The geography teacher has to know very good current affairs, okay, based environment. The geography teacher must know very good current affair based IR topics, okay, current affair based trade, transport. In fact, trade वाला question अपूर्व sir हमने पढ़ाया है class में. Deficit क्या था? Okay, we have discussed that. Okay, so even we have discussed space-based applications, agriculture में space-based applications, regional development planning. So this is not a subject which can be taught by traditional geography teachers anymore. That's an important change. And I think Edukemy ka team is very well equipped for that. So for a long time, we have been teaching current affair based in the MSP programs and in the enrichment programs. So that's my learning. And on this note, a short commercial break for all of you. Okay. So commercial break is that we are starting with our enrichment program from 30th of September. And this program will run for 3.5 months till about January. And this will include tests, class discussions, answer writing sessions. There are approximately 9 tests in total, plus there are 11 practice tests, there are 5 sectional tests, and there are 4 full-length tests. And the coverage includes current affairs also. You'll also get our handwritten notes, and our students have sweared by this program. I think those who have been part of our MSP program this year must have covered most topics, okay, in some way or the other. So my invitation to all the students appearing for next year, do join enrichment now. Do not keep it for after prelims. तब आप manage नहीं कर पाएंगे if you go after prelims. Okay, guys, that is our commercial break. Let's get back to our conversation.
And sir, I would like to add a bit of a thing in this commercial break.
Yes.
That if the students will join this enrichment program, no matter where they have studied geography before, either from us or from somewhere else, they will definitely see that our enrichment program is very much targeted towards the type of the questions UPSC is asking now.
Yes,
because most of the people
Thank
are
you, Pursa,
basically teaching only the foundations and the basics. They are not going into the actual question mode.
Yes. Yes,
So
actual question, important. I think, and the same approach we also have for GS also.
Yes,
so we have
sir.
the slogan, don't just complete the course, get exam ready. So this program is part of exam ready. Thank you for pitching in. I appreciate
absolutely.
that. Okay, let's get back. So this is our conclusion for the paper. don't force geography concepts just because somebody has told you. Okay, treat current affairs questions as such. And the good way of bringing geography is draw regional maps, give examples wherever possible. Okay, and I would like to add this: geography optional must be studied along with environment of GS paper 3, along with IR of GS paper 2, and economic geography also. Okay, वो वैसे भी आप GS में करते हैं. So please apply all of that in your geography. Do not keep geography isolated away from these topics. Okay, then let's get started. Let's get on with our discussions one by one. So these are the entries of the map this year. Nathula, I believe all of you can mark. Hatti is the gold mines north of Bangalore.
Karnataka. Yes,
Karnataka. Okay.
Yes,
the most important, rich, along with Kolar. Kolar to khatam ho chuka hai, more or less.
It has been
Hatti mines, Raichur Dwab ka region hai. Ross Island is very near Port Blair.
Port Blair,
it's called as Netaji Subhash Bose Island.
Yes,
and it was in news because of that reason. Otherwise, it's largely not inhabited. More is a border post between Manipur and Myanmar. In news mein tha, because of the cross-border trade, and more important, recently, काफी news में है for wrong reasons of drug smuggling.
Yes. Okay. So there is a friendship bridge also. There is the Indo-Myanmar friendship bridge.
Exactly. Yes.
That goes
the friendship bridge, and that ultimately will link with parts of Myanmar, Thailand. Will become a part of our Act East policy. Yes. Thank you so much, Apoorv sir.
Yes.
Ramappa is a place in Andhra Pradesh. You can approximate that at Warangal. And Warangal, this Ramappa is important for a Shiva temple. It was added as a part of UNESCO heritage site. Approximate Ramappa at Warangal. Namdapha National Park.
And sir, in Ramappa, there is an important thing that Ramappa is made up of such bricks which can float upon water.
Oh, I missed this part.
Yeah, so it is a very unique architectural feature of the Ramappa temple.
The bricks can float on water.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Any reason why it was done that way?
Sir, I'm not sure about that. Not a hardcore history fan, but this is one of the things that is unique about the Ramappa temple.
Then it's also interesting why, because most of the southern Indian temples are not brick temples. They're mostly made of stones.
Yeah, they are monolithic temples.
Brick architecture थोड़ा Odishan architecture में आता है.
Right.
North India Nagara style में आता है. Otherwise, southern Indian temples are all rock and stone temples.
Rock cut
temples. I'm just speaking out of.
No, sir, it is true, sir. They are all rock cut temples majorly. Yes, sir.
So I'm surprised. Anyways, I missed this part. Thank you so much. Namdapha, I hope you all know. Sela is very near the border of Bhutan, just south of Tawang Valley. It's a connectivity to Tawang Valley, tourism के लिए, security के लिए, and so on. Yes. Okay, तेजपुर के साथ भी है तवांग.
Sir, नामधापा के बारे में एक बात. Sir, नामधापा is the only national park in the world which has the presence of 4 large feline species. There are tigers, there are snow leopards, feline species, large big cats.
Okay.
So there are tigers, there are leopards, there are snow leopards, and there are clouded leopards. All 4 of them are found in Namdapha National Park.
Okay. Now remember, Namdapha also has one of the very primitive tribes also.
Yes, sir. There are tribes also.
I forget that name. I forget the name of the tribe. Namdapha may be hai.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. You can all add that to your discussion. So Sela Tunnel, Ennore Port is Chennai, more or less. One of the first ports built on PPP model, expansion of Chennai. Ramagundam is Yes. Ramagundam is a thermal power plant, NTPC ka hai.
Yes, sir.
And you can approximate Ramagundam.
Largest in South India.
Yes. Okay. So that's in Andhra Pradesh, Ramagundam. And Betwa River, I believe, should not be seen as current affairs. It's always in news. Betwa, source from near Bhopal, across the Bundelkhand plateau, goes and joins Yamuna. So I think all of that you can handle. So these are the map entries. Now let's take up the question one. Question 1B. Describe the origin, distribution, economic significance of Gondwana system of rocks in India. Gondwana system of rocks essentially are from mid and late Carboniferous up to early and mid Mesozoic times. So till Jurassic times, tak approximately Gondwana rocks hai. And these rocks are notable for the time when the Indian Peninsular Plateau went through phases of rifting. There was coal formation. Gondwana rocks are today part of those river valley systems. Gondwana coal is among the richest coal field of India. Almost 98% of Indian coal is Gondwana coal. Rich areas include Damodar Valley, Mahanadi Valley. We have Godavari Valley, Son Valley coal fields. The names Raniganj, Barakar coal, Durgapur, Bokaro coal, Mahanadi coal fields, Kotagundam coal fields, Singrauli coal fields. ये सारे Gondwana rocks हैं. So I think it's a straight question, L1 question. Most of you should know this. Gondwana rocks, and this is part of India's coal resource of India. Sir, आप कुछ ऐड करना चाहेंगे इसमें Gondwana में?
No,
Or
sir.
we have
No, sir.
covered?
You have talked about almost everything in Gondwana. Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Now, 1C. Now, this is definitely a bit of a difficult question.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Asking the role of Indian Earth observation satellite technology, and very specifically about weather forecasting and disaster management. Now, एक और चीज हम realize कर रहे हैं in the questions which are asked recent times में, they're getting more and more very specific. Not simply importance of space technology, not simply importance of trade transport, not simply discuss importance of forests. बहुत specific हो रहे हैं कि बताओ deforestation and what we are doing probably through some programs. Very specifically talk about the role of NGT in forest conservation. So ये बहुत ही minute, and this is hardcore current affairs. So anyways, let me quickly discuss this. So 5-6 points here. When we say Indian Earth observation satellite technology, basically we mean the entire range of satellite technology, which includes remote sensing, which includes geostationary satellites, which includes your low Earth satellites,
Yes.
orbit satellites, includes middle and higher. But let me tell you that our satellite weather-based weather forecasting has started from INSAT 1 itself. INSAT 1C
Yes,
was very
yes.
important. Then INSAT 2 was a very important series where we introduced technologies like VHRR and CCD, charge coupled devices, and very high resolution radiometers were included. And the INSAT 3C series have been more effective with the range of infrared technology we have. As of now, the most active satellite systems, सिर्फ दो ही हैं. IMD के site में भी लिखा हुआ है. There are two main satellite-based weather forecasting. The satellite वाले जो हैं, one is INSAT 3D है, which is coming to an end now. The other is INSAT 3DR, which will replace, और एक third वाला planned है, INSAT 3DS. So satellite-based weather forecasting is only by INSAT 3D, 3DR, and 3DS.
Yes.
बाकी आप लिख सकते थे, I'm not saying no, but IMD says these are the main weather forecasting. But support system satellites includes RISAT. RISAT काफी पुराना है, resource satellite. We also have an ocean sat. Okay, एक European agency के साथ में we had collaborated. We had one called as METSAT. Or recent times में we also have gone for cartosats also, which are mapping wale, but they are using it for some element of weather forecasting. Okay, so this range of names you had to know. Examine the roles में एक बहुत important है. Don't just tell me what it is. Tell me how effective they are. So इसमें 4 point हैं. How effective they are. Number one. So there has been a continuity in weather forecasting using satellites. The technologies have got better. So our forecasting system has also got better. In fact, a very important change was starting from INSAT 2003, we started using IR-based spectrums more. IR-based spectrum, which was capable of nighttime recording also through the clouds. इसके पहले क्या था? Most of the weather forecasting was done on the basis of cloud cover only. Today, we take
sir.
4 parameters. We have taken ocean temperature. We have taken winds also. We also talk about moisture content using IR technologies. So it has become more robust. So how good examine? It has become very good. But the problem is that India does not have the entire range where we can have the satellite-based data put into AI analysis and computer-based modeling. As of now, we are using more of numerical modelings, and we are not using so much of supercomputers or AI-based. Itna popular nahi hua hai. So examine role, good role, we are getting better, but we need to move on towards supercomputers using petaflops and using more of a study which is based on AI modeling. Okay,
Yes.
so that's one. The first part, and in fact, a satellite-based weather forecast is very good for cyclone-based forecasting. Cyclones का बहुत effective रहा है, tracking of cyclones, intensity mapping of cyclones, predicting landfall. Okay, in fact, IMD is one of the the regional satellite-based meteorological centers. Okay, so it's a very effective one. But in terms of disaster management, so disaster management meteorological वाले जो हैं is not only cyclones. It includes cloud bursts, it includes landslides, it includes avalanche, it also includes forest fires because of heat waves. So prediction of forest fires has not been very good. Prediction of landslides have not been very good. Okay, but recently DRDO based a system hai, which is trying to predict avalanche monitoring. So weather forecasting is good, but not all types of disaster management using satellite technology.
Right.
So that was the answer. Okay, I think a rich इसमें research paper hai that I looked up, and that gives you a good range. Okay, otherwise, I think this much of content was a fair content to write on this topic.
So
Okay.
this required
Sir,
a bit
can we
of a
move
deeper
ahead?
understanding. Yes, sir. Please, sir. Please.
Yeah. I mean, you should know the specifics. This was a bit more specific wala question.
Yes. It
Yeah,
was.
Bhuvan satellite. Yes, Bhuvan satellite. You're right. Okay. Yes, Kaveri. And now with the IR, we have all weather, cloud forecasting, and even penetration. You're right. Correct. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. Discuss the impact of NGT 2010 on forest conservation of India. I must say, I'm guilty of one thing. Somehow I felt that this year NGT important topic hai. But then NGT I did not cover under geography optional. And some discussions we had in the GS environment paper.
Yeah.
Okay, so in fact, it kafi raha hai. So that's why I'm saying we cannot leave environment topics of GS to only GS now. You have to bring in geography. Anyway, discuss the impact. So this question, you had to know, or you could answer in four different subheads. Number one, how effective has been, discuss impact mein, how effective has the green NGT been? So usme kuch examples de dete. Examples, for example, NGT, Forest Conservation of Mangroves by Coastal Regulation Zonation Act. NGT very effective in stopping stone quarrying and mining in Aravalis for Aravali forest conservation. NGT very effective in stopping deforestation and unauthorized development and agriculture in parts of Kanha National Park. Yes. NGT was very active even in Kaziranga National Park. Okay, NGT has been very active in ensuring that Western Ghats mein mining was taken up actively. In fact, mining ban hua tha Western Ghats mein because of NGT. These are the 5 examples, good enough. Okay,
Sir,
CRZ,
sir, sir,
Kanha,
there are, yes.
Kaziranga. Yeah, please.
So there are certain, decisions or the judgments that have also been given by NGT. Like there was a
Yes,
judgment
please.
in relation to a steel manufacturer from South Korea, that is POSCO,
Yes,
and it was
yes.
trying to establish a iron and steel industry in Odisha. So there was a judgment that was given against the setting up of such industry due to the environmental impact assessment, due to the impact upon the tribals and the forest resources of that region. So such examples could have also been
Dongi
given in this
Crohn's,
case.
yes. So
Yeah,
चार
Dongi
पांच
Crohn's.
example काफी था. Okay,
Yes.
4-5 examples, and most of you should have recalled Western Ghats. I think this question may people will miss out mentioning the examples of where it has done, and
Yes.
most would
Yes.
write on importance of NGT. They would forget
NGP.
that this has to
Yes.
be
Yes.
related to forest conservation.
Yes.
Okay, all the
Absolutely.
rulings, all the judgments, because NGT has been very powerful body. Okay, so this was one. The second is you have to talk about, okay, where all NGT has failed.
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
despite the fact that NGT has been effective, ये कहाँ fail कर रहा है? So it has failed largely in stopping the deforestation of Aravallis as a whole,
Yes.
not
Yes. Yes.
succeeded in conservation of Himalayan hotspot, खासकर in northeast, not
Yes.
as
Yes.
effective in Western Ghats में भी effective नहीं हुआ है,
Mm.
despite Gadgil committee and, okay, recommendation of Kasturirangan committee for setting
Yes.
up of ecological sensitive areas in Western Ghats. NGT has failed there. Okay, so that was one. And third part we could discuss is in recent times how the importance of NGT has increased, but it is getting compromised
Yes.
because
Yes.
abhi, we are trying to change the composition. Earlier, NGT would have only a sitting judge or a retired judge of Supreme Court heading it.
Right.
Now it says anybody who is eligible to become a justice can head NGT.
NGT.
Plus,
Yes,
the
sir. Yes.
tenureship has been reduced. So somewhere, and importantly, the appointment is to be done by central government.
Yes.
Now, when that happens, okay, we are in trouble. When the government starts appointing, okay,
Yeah.
tribunal heads, so then it's difficult to go against the government interests. So यही तीन part था. How successful it has been, where all not successful, and why it is not successful. Absolutely. NGT has not been able to stop the amendments under EIA. It was not
Yes.
successful in stopping the development of Char Dham project.
Yes.
Recently, Forest Conservation Act में जो amendments हुई हैं 2021-22 में,
Yes. Yes.
okay,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
for the border area security के concerns में उसमें intervene नहीं कर पाया है.
Right.
Okay,
Right. Right.
so mixed impact. That was the whole idea of this question.
Sir, in the
Okay,
conclusion, we
that's
can, sir, in the conclusion, we can connect this answer of NGT with the question that was asked yesterday about deep ecology and shallow ecology.
yeah, absolutely.
That NGT is
Absolutely.
trying to imbibe the principles of deep ecology with respect to the functioning of the government and the economic development. But we are following shallow ecology, so that is why we are not giving so much importance to NGT as we should have given importance to NGT.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you are right, Mohan Priya. It has suspended couple of hydel projects also.
Yes,
Okay,
it
you're right.
has.
Arunachal Pradesh mein, Himachal Pradesh mein, it has stopped the construction. Yes. So 3-4 examples, if you were careful, you would have, okay, written something. Not an easy question, but you would
Not an
have
easy
managed
question,
it.
sir.
Anyways, let's move on now. Now, question number 2A.
Solid waste.
Examine the environmental challenges caused by solid waste in metropolitan regions and discuss the efforts to overcome it. Now, my assessment of this question is a student would write more on, okay, solid waste problem, but not write on the entire range of issues. They would list down, most of us see solid waste only as plastic waste.
Yeah, absolutely.
Solid waste में hazardous waste भी है. Solid waste
Right.
में we also have your waste because of household appliances. It also includes a lot of consumer goods as waste. Though we categorize e-waste separately, but वो भी आप add
Yes.
कर सकते हैं special
वो
category
भी
solid
solid
waste.
waste ही है.
So
E-waste भी solid waste ही है. Right.
Yes, yes. So, so environmental challenges three forefront में. Okay, pollution, groundwater, surface water, soil problems, landfill problems. But while examining the challenge, you could have divided that there are challenges related to how we generate solid waste, challenges related to how we collect solid waste, challenges related to how we process and dispose, okay, the wastes. So वो भी discussion हो सकता था, because of which it causes the problem that it does. Blocking drains, toxicity, it impacts the animals because of ingestion of the plastics. There are problems related to emissions also. This plastics, because of disintegration, they can emit toxic material and greenhouse substance into the atmosphere. That was one. And discuss efforts to overcome it. I think it was very important that the discussion should have included the new initiatives like banning of single-use plastics,
Yes.
The introduction of the EPR, extended producer responsibilities for the producers, importers, brand owners, manufacturers. You could have added what are we doing to formalize the rag pickers. We could have added what are we doing for recycling and developing circular economy. The right to repair is very, very important. Okay, the right to the right to disposing in properly designated landfill areas. So what are we doing to overcome it? I think that should have been a pretty good, decent answer for this question.
Answer in this, in the challenges, we could have also included that how, when we are, sorting the solid waste for recycling, etc., it is a very, very labor intensive process. It is a very time consuming process. It is not a cost effective process. So that is also one of the challenges where the technology is lacking, because if we automate this process, then possibly this process will become a bit easier.
Collection. Yes, Kavit, you're right. Yes, sorry, sir. Go on, please.
Answer the changing consumer preferences with respect to e-commerce. While we are using e-commerce, a lot of plastic waste is being generated by the packaging items that we get.
Yes.
So the e-commerce has actually, aggravated the problem of solid waste across the globe. And since e-commerce is very much, you can say, in demand in the major metro areas of India, it is due to this that this is one of the reasons that the solid waste management in the metro regions is becoming more and more, you can say, uncontrollable at present and possibly in future also.
Yes, agreed. So we have one input from Kaveri. Yes, you can add complete answer with like. In fact, there are case studies also. Solid waste management Indore में बहुत important है. There is one, I forget that plant. Kanpur has done a decent work in solid waste management. Okay, so pick up some examples from that. Yes, waste to energy, absolutely. So with a case study, okay, GS wala, you could have done this. Yes, Pramod. Yes, you're right. Yes. Okay, let's move on. Why are millets considered nutri-cereals and climate resilient? Discuss the constraints and opportunities. Now, this was an absolutely expected question. Okay, with Sri Anna, millets, International Year of Millets, the government was promoting it. Millets to pakka question tha hi.
Sir, wo international year bhi hai na, International Year of Millets.
Absolutely. It is absolutely on the expected line. This was going to be asked, that we should not have missed this. So what are the merits of nutrients? So I think the standard points, they are high in protein content, they are low in fatty acids, they are high in antioxidants, they've got high fiber content. Okay, so all those points. They also have a range of microvitamins. In fact, you could have mentioned the specifics also. Jawar ka, ragi, bajra, ye naam batate hue. Okay? And then you could discuss what are the nutri-cereals there. Okay, so I think that was probably 1 or 2 paragraph answer. Then how are the important climate resilient? Okay, climate resilient primarily because these are dry crops. Dry crops, they are water efficient crops. They can survive drought conditions. They're hard crops. Okay, they do not require very fertile soils. They can be grown in marginal soils also. They can be grown in the hill areas also. Okay, ये 4-5 points हैं. Why are they considered to be climate resilient? And therefore, what are the constraints and what are the opportunities? Constraints largely three front mein hai. Okay, one is the constraint because they are not preferred food in terms of palatability. That's why they are outsown by the other type of cereals, rice and wheat and irrigation based your pulses cultivation or oil seeds are replacing them. So constraint is number one, palatable nahi hai. Number two, they are not economically very remunerative. So most of the millet regions are preferring cultivating pulses these days, oil seeds like soybean, sunflower, because economically they are not very profitable. The third problem with this is that not much of technology has gone into processing this into a health product as a lifestyle consumption. जब तक आप वो lifestyle element नहीं लाएंगे, okay, this will not be used. So behavioral issues, economic issues, and second, of course, that the other crops are now replacing millets. In many areas, the millets, which are indigenous ones, we're also losing their genetic diversity also. And what are the opportunities? I think fodder mein opportunities hai, opportunities in biofuel hai, opportunities in soil management hai, opportunities in dryland farming, even as a part of water management, even very important part of millets as drought resistant, therefore part of watershed management. Okay, the pura range hai. And once it becomes a health product, it has huge potential in terms of exports also. The range of millets we have, okay, they can have export potential, and that's the reason why we are promoting this. G20 में काफी इसकी बात हुई है.
Promotion हुई है, yes sir.
Opportunities, okay, provided we take it up with that kind of spirit.
Sir, we could have also
yes, right. Yeah, please, Apur sir.
Sir, we could have also connected this opportunities related to millet cultivation with respect to climate change.
Yes,
because many areas are getting drought prone due to the climate change scenarios that are going on. So millets can be a very good alternative for the desertification that is taking place in those areas due to climate change.
Yes, I think that's a good point. ये जो हमारा targets है for your reducing or reclaiming land from desertification.
Exactly.
30 program by 2030 for land neutrality, degradation neutrality. All those objectives can be met by growing millets.
Yes, absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
And even when we are trying to diversify into livestock, okay, this can be very important fodder crops. That's an opportunity that we have.
Yes, that is a big opportunity, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, then so we are done with 2B. Let's move on to a 2C. 2C, I think I should not be discussing. All of you know this, which are 5 points. Sir, would you care to discuss this one? Geostrategy significance of Indian islands?
Yes, sir. It is a very traditional question that we also get in IR, in GS, and also in geography optional with respect to geopolitics. Sir, I guess we have 3 or 4 points that when we are talking about these islands have actually given us a huge opportunity of monitoring all the traffic that is there in the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal region. And these islands have also given us a relatively larger exclusive economic zone where we can harness more resources, and it has also it can also be used as interim ports when ships are traveling from, say, Far East towards the Middle East, and they can also be taken as interim ports when ships are traveling from Asia to Europe through the Suez Canal. So these, I guess, are the 3 or 4
Yes.
points that we can, include in these Indian islands' geostrategic significance. And sir, one more thing that we can also include, that through Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar, if we are, establishing our naval bases in those regions, then we can also keep a good eye upon the movement of the ships and the submarines in the Indian Ocean region, which is an important
And
aspect with respect to our national security.
yes, yes. And we could add the projects there. The Great Nicobar Development Project had a
Yes,
transshipment
sir.
terminal that are coming up.
Yes,
We could have added
yes.
that also. And there's a lot of
Absolutely.
talk about developing the Duncan Passage as a part of the
Yes.
shipping route.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so that could be done. And Andaman Nicobar, because of its strategic location, is also India's only theater command. Andaman, okay, जो armed force, the theater command hai, where
Right,
convergence
sir.
of armed navy and air force is done together there. The only
Yes, sir.
एक और
The
आपका जो
only.
theater command है वो strategic वाला है nuclear defense के लिए. Okay,
Right.
but ये वाला है. So please, we can add that. Okay, excellent.
So
And maybe we could refer to the Chinese ploy of string of pearls. Okay.
yes, sir. We can.
So in
Sir,
counter, we're talking about that diamond necklace approach of India. Or
yes.
diamond necklace mein Andaman is very important. And Lakshadweep also very important part there.
Yes.
Okay, it is in proximity of Digo Garcia. So अगर ये maps बना के हम लोग discuss करते, okay, that would have been an interesting answer, I think.
Sir, I was curious about one thing.
Yes.
And even I think the students would be curious about that. Sir, since they have asked a separate question about India, Sri Lanka also.
Yes.
So, like, sir, there are questions related to the Hambantota port in Sri Lanka and everything, where Chinese are trying to increase their presence in the Indian Ocean region. So,
Yes.
should we have included this discussion about the Indian Ocean region in this question of the Indian islands?
Yes,
Or should we have
absolutely. Indo-Pacific, that's a very important. See, we must treat every question independent of another question.
Yes.
Just because वो यहाँ पर आ रहा है does not mean आप बाकी जगह लिख नहीं सकते हो. In fact, Indo-Pacific, Indian islands are a very, very important component of the Indo-Pacific strategy.
Yes, sir.
Specifically, India's commitment to Blue Water Navy, India's commitment to Indian Ocean as net security provider, India's approach of humanitarian assistance and disaster, say interventions, HADR, सब में आ जाएगा.
Right.
So we don't have to ignore that. Indo-Pacific. Yes, absolutely. Okay, Arpit Srivastav says that, and so does Pankaj. Yes, islands are a very important part of the Malabar, exercises. Yes, recently हुआ भी है with Indonesia, with Australia, with New Zealand. Okay, so please add all of that. Okay, we are done with 2C now. Let's move on. Question number 3A. This is another question where I was expecting India pharma industry का क्या status है and how we want to develop it. Very, very current affair based. Pharma industry काफी news में है, partly for wrong reasons also because of all those unfortunate health complications because of cough syrup. Okay, but pharma industry is one of the largest exports of India. Pharma industry को हम dominate करते हैं. 40% of pharma trade is dominated by Indian. So ये तो question बनता ही बनता है. But not so much based on location aspects. It is talking about how we can upgrade India's pharmaceutical sector. This statement जो है, moved from volume to value leadership. This statement was exactly used by our cabinet minister, Mansukh Mandia. He had used the statement. And we got this from one of the PIB notings of 2021-22. It's time that we move from volume towards value leadership. So when we say volume, ka matlab hai, we are producing bulk drugs, generic drugs. We are into more of process patent-based production, okay, which we are dominating. When we say value leadership, we mean 3-4 things. One is we will have to get into more of research and innovation. We have to get into more of biotechnology based, and we also have to start developing our own APIs, the active pharmaceutical ingredients,
Yes,
okay, which
yes,
India
yes.
largely imports
Imports
from
China.
China.
Yes.
Okay, तो हमारा intellectual control अभी इसमें है नहीं. We do not have too much of intellectual property rights on pharma industry because we largely are copying or using, okay, the methods of the others, with of course developing our own processes. So we have some good pharma MNCs. So we have to get into that mode. This question was about that one. Plus, when we say value leadership, we have to be consistently known for our quality products.
Yes.
We cannot afford. Abhi pharmacy industry ka main advantage hai is our cost advantage. That our products are much more affordable, much more easily manageable. Okay, but we have to get into the quality sensitivity also. Okay, so, and when we say pharmaceutical industry, let us not keep it to drugs alone. Okay, pharma industry can extend into medical equipments industries also. There's a larger ecosystem of medical tourism. So, us context mein this question was asked. So, I think this is more like an essay write-up of 1.5 page. And do not force yourself into geography about zarurat nahi dhoondne ki. Okay, keep it as yes answer and you are done with this. Yes,
Sir, I
Arpit,
don't
you are
think,
right. Research and development, correct.
sir, I don't think इसमें geographical perspective ज़्यादा आ भी पाएगा इस question में.
Yeah, we treat it on the merit of whatever the points are.
Exactly. It is more of
So
an
we don't have to.
more of an economy type question, sir.
Right. So that's done. Now 3B. Discuss the flood problems and their management with reference to Indo-Gangetic plains. I think this is among the easiest questions they could have asked.
Yes.
Or a question, floods or droughts पे water पे रहता ही है. It's almost taken for granted.
हर बार ही आता है.
What this, in fact, एक ऐसा ही question पहले भी पूछा हुआ है. Flood problems of northern plains. I think the innovation in this answer could have been that you talk about Indo-Gangetic plains in terms of regions. Flood management, okay, of Western UP. Flood management of Terai regions. Flood issues of Bihar, Kosi. Flood management because of river braiding in lower Ganga plains. Flood problems because of your issues related to cloudburst in the upper reaches of Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh.
Yes.
तो अगर वो करते आप लोग, this would have been a brilliant answer.
Yes.
Rather than generalizing the answer as okay, northern plains has large rivers. So you could have taken, that is where I think the geography comes in.
Yes.
Discuss more from the regional perspective.
Yes.
Okay, draw diagrams, you draw maps, show the rivers, and so on. Okay, that would have probably been a better approach here. So let's get on with the next question. 3B.
Sir, just a second.
Is,
Sir, in October 2021, in the Nature Journal, there was a research paper related to exactly this question from, I guess, from where this question has been picked up. It was related with the residual flood damage under intensive adaptations in India. And they have specifically discussed about the Indo-Gangetic plains. And as you said, they have discussed about how different areas of Indo-Gangetic plains are affected by floods and what can be done in different areas related to the flood management part. So Upper Ganga, Middle Ganga, Lower Ganga, they have completely segregated it. So I guess that was the best way, as you were saying, to write this answer.
Maybe sir, some of these articles you are mentioning, and so did I, we could collate this and maybe share with the students.
Yes,
By
sir,
the way, all
of
you dear students, give us another week or 10 days. I will compile all the model answers and reading material on these questions and we'll share it with you.
Yes, yes, sir.
Farooq Hussain is asking, what should be the size of a diagram? Generally, I recommend, okay, less than probably 3 inch by 3 inch or 2 inch by 2 inch के space में लिखा करो आप diagrams. Okay, एक page में have enough to draw 2 diagrams plus maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs. Ashwini, we will do that. In fact, we are getting the answers ready one by one for all the GS papers and also for the optional papers. We'll share that with you. Okay, let's move on. The next question. Now, this was a very nice question. Okay, critically examine the role of petroleum energy resources of international geopolitics with special reference to India. So now see, this question is a nice question because this question gives us lot of scope to discuss geopolitics of oil for India in different ways.
Yes. Yes.
So when it says examine the role of petro energy, इसका आप 4-5 वे में discuss कर सकते थे. Now one is, tell us that the importance of oil-based geopolitics is a development since 1950s and 60s onwards.
Yes.
Okay, particularly 70s when there was an oil boom in Middle East, because motorway transport बहुत important था. Motorway transport in a big way was developed largely in the 50s.
Right.
So it's that way is the reason. Before this, the geopolitics was more on ideology lines. Before this, the geopolitics was more on controlling the colonies, the agriculture, spices, and so on. Okay, but the geopolitics, energy wala dimension jo hai, it was started off from 50s, 60s onwards, particularly 17 onwards. And since then, it has been important. That's one. The second dimension, that it was the geopolitics of oil that necessitated India's relationship with Middle East, in particular Iran also. But complicated hai. The geopolitics and interests of India and Middle East partly is a cultural thing. India has the largest Muslim population. The Middle East has been a very important area that absorbs a lot of labor from India. We have a lot of Indian diaspora population there. And third is the energy aspects. ये balance करना बहुत important था. Okay, because Pakistan as a part of OIC repeatedly tries to bring Kashmir issues there. But because of economic interests with India, most of the Gulf countries have not taken extreme position vis-a-vis Pakistan and criticized India. So that was an important element of geopolitics. The third is Iran ke saath mein. Despite the West blockade, despite the US blockade, despite Iran's belligerence against the West, India has not completely cut off the Iran ties. Partly cultural tha, and partly oil politics tha. Okay, so oil has decided India and Iran. But in recent times, ever since we have been diversifying out of oil and diversifying out of Middle East in the form of engaging Russia, in the form of sourcing oil from parts of Africa. Okay, thereafter, our engagement with Iran has reduced. So oil politics wahan par aa jayega. The fourth aspect is that the geopolitics of oil has also changed slightly with the emergence of solar energy, the emergence of hydrogen, lithium ion, critical minerals wala dimension jo hai.
Right.
Okay, so it is changing now. The recent times mein, the oil geopolitics is changing for India. Okay, and India is developing that critical energy wala trade bloc.
Yes.
India trying to get into biofuel alliance, solar alliance. India trying to network for nuclear energy ka status. It is changing now. इसके अलावा एक और important dimension is that India's petroleum geopolitics jo hai, it will continue to be important. In fact, that's why India's relationship with Iran, INSTC project hai, Chabahar project towards Zaranj and Dilaram. Even now, the India-Middle East economic corridor is also passing through Middle East primarily because of this.
Yes.
Okay. And we can't ignore this because even China has a lot of energy based issues, and China warming up with Iran, China warming up with Saudi Arabia. So oil energy politics abhi khatam nahi hone wala hai in the recent times. Okay, but of course it is changing because we're moving towards gas-based geopolitics also, which is Russia and probably India trying its own diversification. So this was the list of discussion. I do not know if you could understand. Examine the role. Examine the role will tell us how important petroleum energy has been, how important it will be in the future, and what is India doing to address this. Okay, so this is my input for 3C. You want to add something to this, Apurv sir?
Sir, I would say that whatever you have said has completed the discussion. The thing was that in order to organize this answer, the students could have organized this answer as past, present, and future, like you have said. Like what was actually the scenario of oil diplomacy from 1960s to say 1990s? Then what is the scenario of oil diplomacy from 1990s till present? And as you have said that with the coming up of all the renewable sources of energy and the new thing about the green initiative that have been taken by all the countries, what could be the possible future of oil diplomacy? And with respect to this, we can majorly focus towards India. That till 1990s, India was majorly dependent upon the Middle East for its petroleum imports. Now India is diversifying towards Africa, and gas diplomacy is coming up with Russia. And how India in future can also, you can say, safeguard its oil imports, whatsoever the requirements be from different countries.
So the trick of this question was examine the role of petroleum energy resources.
Yes.
Okay. Not simply tell us how important it is, but examine, tell us, comment on how good, how important will remain. Okay. So I think, मेरे opinion में, this question number 3 was the toughest question set. 3A भी difficult है, 3C is not a regular one, interesting. 3B आसान था, but I think most students would not have attempted question number 3. Okay, section A say most would have even avoided attempting question number 2 also. Okay, why? Because of this first 2, but 3 was the toughest one, okay, of the entire paper. So people would have either gone for question number 2, or I think they would have gone for question number 4. 4 I think section A का आसान वाला था.
हाँ, आसान वाला था. Yes sir.
Okay, so most would have. So all those who are watching us online, can you tell us which question would you have attempted in section A? Okay, would you have attempted 2, 3, or 4? Or would you have ignored, like I said, question number 3? It's very important. Okay, Pankaj says he has attempted question number 3. Wow, it's a brave attempt, I think.
Yes, it is.
The questions that you attempt is a very important criteria for the marks you score. Yes. Sometimes we attempt wrong questions and then we get trapped. Okay, so I hope you do well. Okay, you attempted, so you should have known the answer. Okay, anyways, my wishes to you. Karan says he has attempted question number 2. Fair enough. Okay, but in my opinion, I think question number 4 of section A was the best one. Okay,
it was the easiest.
Which was
easier one. in many ways. Because 2 or 3, at least one part is, sir, relatively difficult.
Yeah, because question of 4A is directly demographic dividend. इसमें कुछ करना नहीं है.
जी.
Okay, tell us what can India do to harness demographic dividend?
Yes.
Okay, urban planning is a problem. Okay, what can we do for good urban planning? इसमें तो models पक्का डाल सकते थे आप लोग.
Right.
And India's trade policy, MSP में India's trade policy I have discussed in detail. Okay, we have taken up words from trade policy. So I think 4 was a very good question to answer. Okay, Frank Hussain says he has done question number 4. Excellent. So quickly, how can India translate demographic dividend? I think 5 components here. One is skilling mission is very, very important.
Yes.
Okay. The second is that we have to expand our manufacturing sector, because agriculture has limits in how much it can absorb. The third is a very important part is that we need to increase our gender participation. Demographic dividend will not accrue its benefits until we have women also entering our labor participation rate. And the fourth is there is another aspect of demographic dividend, okay, where we can harness our aging population. That's called as the second demographic dividend.
Senile population, yes.
So, yeah. So I think this was a straight question. I
Yes,
would
it
have
was.
put this under L1 type.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Nothing
Yes,
much
sir.
to add here. Question number 4B. Of course, Apoor sir, you want to add something on this? Please let
No,
me
no,
know.
sir.
We can discuss it.
Touched every aspect of it with respect to skill
Yeah.
development, with respect to gender, with respect to aging population, everything. So these are the only components that we need to take into consideration when we are talking about economic dividend. Absolutely fine, sir.
Yes, yes. And the next one is again a very good one because I think urban planning was expected. Okay, urban planning was important because of urban floods, hai, urban economic stagnation hai because lack of
True.
housing, infrastructure, connectivity,
Mhm.
urban problem because of pollution. So
Right.
all of that is, until we do that, we cannot be harnessing the urban potential. So
Yes,
I think
yes.
this was a state question. Now, when it says poor urban infrastructure, urban planning, so you have to first establish the fact that urban areas are very important economic centers of India.
Yes.
Manufacturing urban areas में है, skilling urban areas में है, transportation hubs urban areas में है, employment generation urban areas में है. Without urban production, we cannot have a consumer base expanding either. India wants to become a major exporter for many products. Again, urban production hai. So establish in one paragraph that urban areas are very important. If you want to diversify and disperse development across the country, we must identify more and more, okay, tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities across the country and expand. So this is something that we should not have ignored. And then we come towards, okay, tell us how poor planning is impacting. So poor planning ka consequence hai housing shortages, transportation bottlenecks, problems related to land diversification and unauthorized construction, problems of water availability, pollution problems, urban disasters bhi hain, okay, related to problems of urban heat waves, urban fires, industrial fires, and all of that relate to. And the worst in recent times is urban flooding. Okay,
Yes, absolutely.
if you have missed out the problems of Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi because of flooding, in recent times, urban planning also includes the problems related to infrastructure like digital connectivity also. That's all you had to do. And you could have taken up any one, take up Delhi NCR, and we could have discussed Delhi NCR, how urban planning, suburban planning, urban manufacturing planning like Noida, urban airports connectivity, multimodal hubs. I think this was a very doable question if you had taken
Yes,
up
it
on those
was.
lines. Okay, and
Yes.
do use something from last year. They had asked a question on a TOD model, a transit-oriented development, clustering model, new urbanism. ये आप add कर सकते थे discussions में.
Right.
Okay, so I think this was a good question to answer.
So there was much to write
4C.
in this.
Yes, absolutely. Question 4C. Highlight the features of India's trade policy. Trade policy, we're talking about SCOMET. We have got towns of export excellence. We're talking about one
Yes.
district, one product. We're talking about e-commerce. We're talking about amnesty schemes, facilitation of trade. Okay, and list of this is discussed in the MSP in detail. SCOMET is special chemicals, organics, material technologies. Okay, and status of India's balance of trade. So India ka deficit hai from 60-70 billion. Last year we have a deficit of more than 100 billion.
Yes.
And four products are responsible: electronics imports, electrical equipments imports, imports even of API, बहुत large है, pharmaceutical industries का, and imports which are related to chemicals, organic chemicals, inorganic chemicals. Okay. Plus, if you look at indirect imports coming from China supported trade blocks, वो भी ज़्यादा है. Okay. So the idea is that we have diversify out. India must become more diversified in terms of the global supply chains. Okay. So I think 4C is done. So let's move on to next question. Section B. मुझे लगा personally section A से section B was a section because इसमें more traditional questions are there.
हाँ sir.
In this, there are more concept-based questions. Okay, so first one is the jute industry. Straight question hai. Every traditional geography coverage includes jute industry. I will not discuss this. The main producing areas are Hooghly belt. The challenge was you had to know those locations: Titagarh, Bajbaj, Belapur, Naihati, Howrah, okay, Sirampur. These are the important centers. Howrah belt discuss karke you would have told. Why decline? Decline largely because of synthetics, alternatives. Decline because of obsolete technology. Decline because Europe no longer imports jute. But maybe expand it towards what are the prospects in future. I think a state question, I think, must to add here.
Sir, cost was also one of the things that has led to the decline of jute.
Production cost or...
yeah, production cost, yes. Because the artificial fibers are much cheaper.
Yeah. So that's one. Question number 5B. Urban built environment, big cities of India create changes in biophysical character of landscape. Now, this was, I think, a very good thinking question.
Yes, it was.
What is urban built landscape? Urban built environment ka matlab hai the road construction, the building construction, all infrastructure, whatever we have built, including the parks that we make, including how we modify the hydrological elements also, river diversion, river water storage, drainage, okay, all of that. Whatever we are constructing is the built environment.
Yes.
And how it impacts the biophysical character of the landscape. Biophysical mein 3 component aata hai. Okay, the urban forests. Biophysical is in terms of the landforms that we have. Okay, mountains hai, related to. And the third component of biophysical is the soil itself. These 3 are part of biophysical characteristics. Iska extensions hai the water systems and the air also. Essentially, this is a smart way of asking you to tell us how urbanization is impacting urban, natural, ecological landscape. This was a state question. How is urbanization, construction, urbanization, modification, urbanization elements is impacting our natural landscape ecology? Forests, slopes, water bodies, soils, and even the air atmosphere. Okay, so discussion may you could have talked about deforestation. We could have talked about modifying the hydrological aspects impacting the soil aspects. How have we moved on towards man-animal conflicts also in the vicinity of natural forests? This was the question that you had to answer. Okay, so 5B, I said that way is an interesting question. 5C, again, I don't think I should discuss this. Eastern Ghats ka geology.
Archean rock system.
Oldest one, Archean rock system. Condylite rocks यहाँ पर हैं. Charnokites rocks यहाँ पर हैं. Much eroded, fold mountains, dissected, discontinuous. Okay, they are no longer the important, they are not the important barriers for the winds, they allow for monsoons to cross over. Ecological significance, largely in terms of the forests of Tamil Nadu. Ecological significance in terms of how they influence and allow for the monsoon winds to cross over. Eastern Ghats, ecological significance, even in terms of tribal pockets. So good tribal areas are in the Eastern Ghats of Odisha, Andhra Pradesh. Sir just mentioned the Dongri Khonds of Eastern Ghats. He just mentioned the tea plantations, ecological significance, because that area has certain natural varieties. जैसे कि Araku Valley अगर जानते हैं, वहाँ का coffee is a very important variety. It's a geographical indicator, Araku coffee. So this was sufficient. And you could have talked a bit more. Yes, sir. Please tell me.
Even about mangroves, etc. We could have talked about along the Eastern Ghats coast. And
yes, but my only point, somebody mentioned that also. My only point is that this is about Eastern Ghats. Eastern Ghats are
it is not about the
not
Eastern
so much
coast.
important for the mangroves.
Yes, it is not about
we could have added,
coast,
but I would have been a bit more careful adding Eastern Ghats there.
Yes.
Okay. Otherwise, very tropical deciduous forests.
And
we could have mentioned Tamil Nadu region has the semi-evergreen dry forests.
Yes.
Sandalwood, not so important, Pankaj, not so important here. And Seshachalam Hills are not actually part of Eastern Ghats. They're more a part of the highlands inside. Okay. Redwood forest, no, redwood forest Eastern Ghats ka part nahi. The redwood to nahi, red sanders bolte hain, Arpit. It is red sanders. Okay, Chevroy Hills you could have mentioned, correct. Chevroy Hills definitely, but not sandalwood. It is red sanders. That's different from sandalwood. Okay. So that's 5C. 5D, I think again a straight question. Cultural regions of India.
Very straight.
Linguistic based hai. Again, agar aap notes dekhoge, we have covered this. Okay, the linguistic based 11, 12 cultural regions of India according to Culture Ministry of India. इसके अलावा you could have mentioned some tribal regions based on cultures. जो भी आपके northeastern states हैं, all of them are cultural regions in their own rights. Okay, so this was a straight question. I would say L1 question if we had done this. 5E. Now, this question I have discussed in detail in the GS paper. Critical minerals, rare earth, lithium, uranium, monazite sands, beryllium. These are the important critical minerals. They recently discovered some lithium deposits in Rajasthan. In past, Jammu Kashmir discovered hua hai.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And so this was, no point discussing it right now. We'll give this in the form of an answer.
Sir, we discussed this in detail in the GS advanced course.
I remember you have done this.
Yes.
आपने इसको डिटेल में डिस्कस किया था.
Yes. And I was surprised that this came in the optional paper.
In fact, this is my learning. That's why I'm saying, no, increasingly I think that geography must be discussed along with the GS paper. आप GS ignore करके आप geography नहीं पढ़ सकते. Very, very applied that way. और वैसे भी आप GS में पढ़ते हो, you just have to revise it as much as possible as a part of geography also. Yes. So that's a 5E question. We're running out of time. It's a pretty long session, 9:30. So what we'll do is we'll quickly discuss a couple of questions. Okay, not all of them. I know most of you are tired also. Okay, this question has been wrongly phrased. I'm sorry. 6A jo hai, it's actually Indian cities have a complex morphological characteristics, not a hospitality. Okay, due to a historical evolution. इस पेपर में section B में question number 6 was very good question. एकदम traditional है दोनों question. There's a morphological characteristics, the planning, the architecture, okay, the influence of culture, the influence of medieval times, the ancient times, caste-based segregation, language-based segregation, the impact of British modifications. Okay, ये पूरा straight question. Anybody who has done the notes of geography will know this. कि India में morphology is complex because of the bazaar-based model, the port-based model,
Yes,
the
sir.
hybrid composite model of Delhi, which includes radial and also grid-based model. Very good question. 6A तो आंख बंद करके आपको करना चाहिए था. Okay, should have been difficult. L1 question according to me. The next one, organic farming, again I think was much expected. Organic farming, how it is a very important part of India's sustainable agriculture. Okay, so it keeps getting clicked. So organic farming, zero tillage, organic farming, local biodiversity, talk about your zero budget, natural farming, local dryland farming, the significance of using biofertilizers. We have this program, Pranam program. Okay, we have your I forget the Paddhati. I'm sorry. There's one traditional farming wala, I forget the name. So I think this again is a very straight question. Shouldn't have been difficult to answer. Organic farming. The next is the geopolitical impact of bilateral relationship between India and Sri Lanka. Now this was a bit of thinking. The geopolitical impact is under three heads. One is India-Sri Lanka, how it impacts India's position in the Indo-Pacific. One. Number two, India-Sri Lanka trade issues uthakar, how it impacts SAARC ka issues. And number three, India-Sri Lanka and its issues related to the agriculture development. Because Sri Lanka tea cultivation, Sri Lanka coconut cultivation, otherwise geopolitics बहुत ज़्यादा impact नहीं है. The bulk of the discussion has to be around Indo-Pacific.
Indo-Pacific, yes, sir. Yes.
Colombo, Hanbantota, Trincomalee, where India has its own container yard.
Yes.
Sri Lanka vis-a-vis the Andaman Nicobar development project. Sri Lanka vis-a-vis the listing centers of China. The SAARC angle hai, agriculture angle hai. The bigger point will be how it becomes a naval base for the string of pearls.
Yes.
Okay. So anything else you want to add on this, Apurv sir?
No, sir. Basically, it is related to Indo-Pacific and the containment policy of India with respect to China and the Indian Ocean region.
Yes, the string of pearls इसमें आ जाएगा.
Oh, sir, agriculture वाली बात तो मेरे दिमाग में भी नहीं आई थी, but definitely, जैसा आपने बताया, it can be included in the answer.
Because India Sri Lanka का जो agriculture trade है, that can become a very powerful basis of the free trade agreement between the two countries.
Absolutely.
And then we can control fair amount of agriculture export market of the world.
Yes.
Because Sri Lanka and India compete in agriculture. Coconut दोनों में है.
Majorly tea.
दोनों में tea है. If we can develop some pact there, that impacts agriculture as one of the important elements of. Yes.
We can create a monopoly in the global tree market.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, that's one. Let's move on towards question number 7. Question number 7. Discuss the green energy initiatives of India as a signatory nation to Paris Agreement. So, green energy initiative का main component है International Solar Alliance.
Yes.
That's one.
Yes.
The second is following Paris Agreement, जो COPs हुए हैं, okay, whether it is Sharm el-Sheikh, whether it is Glasgow Summit, we've increasingly talked about phasing down of coal and alternative energy. So though it is telling Paris Agreement as a main one, following maybe आपको लिखना होगा, but yes, this answer is more about the International Solar Alliance. And the answer towards कि बाकी initiatives भी हैं. Green energy also includes green hydrogen. Green energy also includes wind energy. But focus more on the solar alliance. This is an indirect way of asking what are the benefits, merits, limitations of solar alliance
Solar alliance, yes, sir.
signed as a part of Paris Agreement. Correct.
Yes, 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 yes.
7A. 7B, poultry sector. One of the largest eggs producing country of the world.
The world is India.
Chicken
Yes,
production also. India is a major poultry export nation also. A lot of exports into Japan, into US, into Europe. So
yes,
broiler
yes,
farms. Okay. So that is one of the largest prospects here. In terms of opportunities, इसके चार opportunities हैं. One is opportunities in terms of agriculture diversification.
yeah, absolutely, sir.
Opportunity in terms of health and nutrition,
Yes,
because
yes.
high protein, low fat content.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that. The third opportunity is in terms of this is a good program for the dry parts and small marginal farmers.
Yes, yes,
who
sir.
are
Yes,
landless laborers also.
yes, 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 yes.
So they can take up this one. And the fourth opportunity is in terms of exports, I have told you. So the export sector, dryland farming, okay, dry regions, small farmers, and from the perspective of the health and nutrition.
Yeah. And the diversification for the larger farmers.
Diversification, correct.
Yes.
And
yes.
in terms of, yes, it's a very, yes, Karthik, it's a very profitable business.
It is.
One of the largest areas of India, Andhra region, Karnataka region, has done extremely well in the poultry sector.
Yes.
Okay, it's also a sector which is highly, commercialized, and it has ever-growing market because of India's increasing urbanization.
Yes.
The urbanization, your food habits will move towards more of poultry products and dairy products.
And
Challenges.
Even the increasing income levels of the Indians are making them move towards the poultry products nowadays.
Yes. Income and
so in future we can expect even more demands.
Yes, it's a growing sector.
Yes.
In terms of challenges, most challenges are related to number one, the problems of hygiene here, because wo jo box create hota hai,
right.
So that is a major problem. That is a major problem. One. Number two, India still does not have good processing and branding wala nahi hai.
Right.
And third problem, challenges jo hai, lot of avian diseases jo hai, the bird flu types. Okay.
Yes.
That is a problem. Lot of pandemic epidemics carriers are poultry.
Yes.
Okay. Yahi teen challenges hain, all around health issues largely. And one more development required is in the development of chicken feed.
Yes.
So that is an area where India can develop. So otherwise, there is not much to talk about apart from the fact that
this question, both in this question and in the millets question, within the challenges, we can also write about the traditional thinking of the farmers, where they are more inclined towards the cultivation of only rice and wheat, which is always a problem in India.
Yes, diversification is not as much.
नहीं करना चाहते हैं, crop patterns को change नहीं करना चाहते हैं. That is always a problem in India with respect to agriculture.
Yes. So that's one. Question number 7C, I think, is a repeat question. Indira Gandhi Canal ka, desert regions, irrigation, salinity problems, the challenges related to water transfer from Satluj Bias, वो एक बहुत बड़ा challenge है. And that impacts. इसके अलावा the too much dependence on irrigation is also impacting the agriculture sustainability.
Yes.
Okay. So I think it's a straight question. ये आपके खुल्ला में मिल जाएगा with a diagram. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Ecological challenges largely around salinization problems.
Yes.
Okay. So I think पूरे paper में section A में 2 was good, section B में 7 was a good one to answer.
Yes, it was, sir. It was.
Okay. So let's move on to the last question, question number 8. Question number 8 में I think again productivity वाला straight question, traditional question. Why is it low and what are the measures we can have to improve productivity? Measures में soil management, water management, drought management, hybridization seeds, fertilizer consumption,
modern methods
the
of
whole,
agriculture.
yes, climate resilience,
Yes.
forward linkages for encouraging.
Yes,
इसमें
sir.
ना आप PM किसान बहुत ऐड कर सकते थे. Whatever investment strategies we're encouraging for the farmers under PM Kisan could have been part of
Yes.
this answer.
Yes,
Okay,
sir. Yes, sir.
and specifically mentioned productivity low in cereals hai. Productivity is low in crops like pulses hai. Productivity low is in livestock, milk production ka low hai. If you can do that, you have got the answer here. 8 is done. I think 8A. 8B again, nothing much to add. Ecotourism of
Ecotourism.
Andaman Nicobar Islands. 4 components of ecotourism: beach tourism, including your coral tourism.
Yes.
Next is tourism related to your fisheries, related to your tribal tourism,
Yes.
which is cultural actually.
Yes.
Which is cultural tourism. Yes. And then एक area है Andaman Nicobar Islands में where there is lot of mud flow volcanism. Okay,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
a very
Yes.
unique thing. The only place of India which has mud flow volcanism. So that's one tourism. Okay. Apart from this, the fourth type of tourism we can have here is tourism related to cruise tourism, which is not at all explored. India mein
Yes.
cruise tourism has not been developed.
Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
ecotourism, beach tourism, coral reef tourism, volcanic tourism, national parks यहाँ पर हैं, and this cruise tourism. Challenges largely around ecological sensitivity hai. Okay, challenges around PVTG rights hai. And the fourth is around strategic interests. There's a call that we must take. Andaman Nicobar Island, given its security challenges, we do not know how much of this we can open up for for tourism, because we would like to protect that region for
Yes.
security. Andaman is a very important theater command for India.
Yes.
This is the challenge of Andaman Nicobar Islands.
Sir, biodiversity
Yes.
hotspot bhi hai. So ecologically we also need
Yes,
to protect it.
absolutely. Ecological angle wahan se bhi aata hai, and the PVTGs that we have. Yes.
And sir, even in Andaman and Nicobar, we can add in cultural tourism that it is one of the most famous places for British architecture in India.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So that can also be included in this.
And the last question, regional health indicators of the states. I think you could have taken up, one is stunting ka pattern. We could have discussed IMR pattern. We could have discussed MMR pattern. And we could have discussed diseases like malaria susceptibility, okay, जो कि hill regions में ज़्यादा है. This is one example of a question where you need not study this alag se, but if you know the demographic attributes, what is the IMR pattern, demographic attributes hai, link it with, am I audible to all of you? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are audible. Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir.
So if we could relate this question, okay, with those type of discussions where we are talking about, IMR pattern, I said, north-south divide, tribal areas, talking about IMR related to rural population, MMR हमें पता again north-south divide है.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
So UP Hindi speaking belts, tribal areas they will have more problems of these issues. So this was a very thinking question. Most people must have got trapped because they would not have studied health indicators in detail.
Yes,
but आपको बस ये
yes.
4 कर देना था.
Yes.
And I think as a part of food and nutrition, most of us have studied stunting, okay, and wasting in children in different parts of India.
Yes.
Gujarat has high incidence, Rajasthan has high incidence, hill areas have high incidence of stunting. Utna kafi tha. Okay, while the hunger problems are less in Maharashtra or Kerala or Tamil Nadu and the rest. If you could discuss that way, this would have been good question. Yes.
Sir, we could have also highlighted the case of Kerala in this. Like the COVID cases were very high in Kerala, and at present the Nipah virus cases are very high in Kerala, and the reasons behind that.
So I think this was an innovative one if you could have gone for.
Yes.
Okay, so absolutely. 8A and 8B were straight questions. 8C
was.
So with this, I'm done with the discussion. I hope we could help you with some inputs. It is not detailed answer. You wanted to give you some bit of semblance of how you could have answered with whatever content you already had.
Yes.
And I'm happy to mention this, that we were able to cover quite a range of questions through our enrichment programs and MSP. So it's an invitation for all of you to consider joining our program starting in a week's time now. Call up and ask for whatever clarifications you need. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Apurv sir, for being a part of this.
Sir. Always a pleasure, sir. Always a pleasure.
These last 6-7 days, starting with essays, have been very tedious on the entire Edukemy team. Thank you, Edukemy team, for collating the content, for having sat through and discussed with me. Okay, it's a very important moment in an institute. And I hope I could bring some innovation to your discussions. I was deliberately focusing on what are the nuances of the questions, not blind tell you what the answers are. And I recommend all of you should look out to our model answers. Give us 1 week's time. We will give the QR code, we'll compile all the answers and share with all of you as a part of a gesture to help you prepare in a more objective way. Thank you so much. Okay.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you, all the students. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shabbir, sir.
Thank you so much, Apurv, sir. Thank you. Zinder, we do have, if they are recorded sessions, you can get in touch with us. Zinder Ali. Thank you. Good night. Have a nice preparation and hope to see the same enthusiasm in discussing for the prelims and thereafter mains for next year. And all the dear students who have given, don't worry too much. Okay. Be optimistic. You have done your best. Take a break of 15-20 days and then get back into preparation for interview. I'll announce that also for all of you. And of course, your prelims eventually. Thank you all of you. Good luck and thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Good night. Good night, sir. Good night, everybody. Thank you.